Good morning. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. My name is David Boice, author from 52 Churches in 52 Weeks, and today is going to be day one doing a new 52 Churches in 52 Weeks sequel, part 2. I don't know what to call it. We'll see. So a couple things have happened. So number one, when it comes to the YouTube channel, and first off, thanks for clicking on the video, and like and subscribe if you like to keep up to date on this new type of spiritual journey. Two things really happened. Number one, as I've progressed with the channel, I kind of look back at it and I keep repeating things that with 52 Churches in 52 Weeks, I'm repeating experiences that I had from several years ago, where this all occurred in 2014 and 2015. Obama was still president back then. And the more I thought about it with the channel, it's like I can't keep doing videos talking about things that happened to me so long ago. So I gotta keep it fresh. Like, we've had a pandemic, we've had, President Trump, President Biden, like we've had a lot of changes, and I want to check out churches to see how they've changed. And there's a bunch of denominations and different specific niche churches I never was able to try out the first time. So I want to explore that. All the different type of places I've always wanted to visit. With YouTube, it presents an interesting opportunity because when I did it the first time, I could take pictures, I could take some videos, but it wasn't anything that I could really put out there at that time. I was blogging on medium.com, was writing the book, but when I had videos and when I had pictures, I had all these different types of things. I couldn't bring that out to the world so much. And with YouTube, it's really kind of created an opportunity to showcase a little bit more, so you can kind of get a look in terms of what is happening in this spiritual journey. Because who knows, maybe you've always wanted to see what a particular church looks like, how they worship, all kinds of different things. If I can bring you on the journey, that's fantastic. Second thing that's happened is I had something lined up in life. Life happens, and really thought that God had something truly magnificent planned for me, and all of a sudden things just stopped. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm kind of recalibrating to figure out what's next. So one thing I heard that really resonated with me this week, it was actually an interview with Judge Faith Jenkins. She is a divorce judge, and she did a podcast interview, and I listened to the whole hour, 15-minute interview, and the thing that I took away most was the very last thing that she said. Basically, she said that ships don't sink from what's around them, they sink whatever gets inside them. And with my own life, I'm kind of going through like a little bit of a shipwreck, but at the same time, it's like, no, I'm not. Like, I got bucked off from what I was planning to do, but it's almost like, all right, God, you got something here. What can I take from that? When you look at scripture, there's so many different types of analogies when it comes to boats and ships. Like, you have Noah's Ark, and everything was about to go to complete hell, and Noah was the only one that listened to God's voice. He built the ship to the specifications, and while everything around him flooded and went completely nuts, everything was fine inside the ark. Everything was fine inside that ship. And same thing when it came to the New Testament with Christ. There's huge storms, and huge storms come in our life. Whether it's breakups, divorce, a family death, a job loss, health diagnosis, just tons of different things that can completely shipwreck us. And the more I thought about that analogy, and the more, because when it comes to the Bible, I don't like to, I'm not that kind of a guy where it's like, oh yeah, like this is from Matthew 16 or this is from Luke 17, and I can just cite scripture off the top of my head. I just can't do that. Like, what really resonates with me is just the action. Like, give me action, don't give me words. And with Christ, like with the disciples, they're on the ship, blue skies, and that's kind of where I thought my life was heading. Blue skies, had the destination that I wanted to go to, was about to relocate, and all of a sudden, like this Homer's Odyssey kind of situation where you're right close to your dream, you're right close to home, you open up the bag of wind, and suddenly you start over at the very beginning. You start from scratch. You don't know where you're at. You're completely abandoned. And with Christ, when he's calming the storm, all the disciples are worried. Everything is basically intruding inside their ship. Gotta get a little better of a handle here. Like, and it happens to all of us. Like, fear gets in our head, doubt, self-doubt especially, insecurities. All these different type of emotions can flood our minds. And with Christ, he was in the boat. With the disciples, they had Christ in the boat. They had nothing to fear. And with Christ, it's just, all he said of the storm is, peace, be still. And that has really resonated. That has been kind of a mantra right now as I kind of recalibrate, figure out what I want to do moving forward in my life. So that kind of brings up 52 churches in 52 weeks, this new type of project. I want to show you as a viewer what it's like to try a different church each week, to kind of document my own emotions, my own progress, my own spiritual journey, to that maybe it can help out you in whatever type of obstacle, whatever type of situation that you may be going through as well. So if you have any requests, if there's any kind of churches you want me to check out, leave something in the comments. Would be glad if you follow this, if you join me on this little journey. And on my next journey, I'll try and make sure I get a better camera holder. So there's always that. First church, week 1, I'm going to be going to RiverValley Church. It's in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. It's non-denominational. I've gone to it 3 times. This will be the first time I go by myself. My advice is, if you ever want to do like a 52 churches in 52 weeks type of experiment to really enhance your faith, do something different, because like as a guy, it's like you need adventure. You need to see and explore the wilderness, and you need to do that with your own faith as well. And with RiverValley Church, like when it comes to starting off the 52 churches in 52 weeks, the first time I did this, I had to be comfortable with where you can't just cannonball into this. Like for me, I need to put my foot in the water just to test the waters at first. And with RiverValley Church, I've been there a few times. I don't know anyone, but at the same time, I want to be able to start from a place where I feel comfortable. The second week, I already know the church. There'll be another church I've visited as well that I've been a regular in the past for a few months. And then after that, who knows? So we'll see what happens. I'm going to attend church. I'll kind of show you a little bit of what happens inside. And I'll shoot another video here when we get done with service. So see you in a bit.
buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. Sing, you called my name. When you called my name, and I ran out that way. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. When you called my name, and I ran out that way. Out of the darkness into your glorious day.
From Philippians chapter 2, a text where we're going to look into a little bit to see again what Paul has called us to do. In this text, Paul says that we are to be lights shining in a dark world. That's our job, to be shining lights. And apparently, we do that by being different than the world, not being like the world.
So, just finished up at RiverValley Church in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, to finish up week 1 when it comes to this new 52 churches in 52 weeks spiritual project. So there's a few things I learned from the book and the first time doing this that I'm going to be a little bit more refined doing this a second time. So I'm going to kind of go over a few of that real quick. So as a first-time visitor, I want to understand how churches treat a first-time visitor when it comes to first impressions, points of contact, like who are they, how many people are welcoming you to the church when you first arrive. I'm looking for worship music, preaching style, and also follow-up. I think one of the biggest things I learned from churches and the reason that a lot of the traditional churches are failing dramatically with numbers is they have nothing for follow-up. So I think if you are a church leader watching this, maybe this can help out, whether you're more of a modern type of church or traditional. So when I got there, immediately, greeter at the door welcomed me. I walked in, and right away, one of the associate pastors caught me. And he gave me a little pamphlet. Let's see if I got it here. That looks like this. And basically it was an invite to do kind of like a men's retreat. Do some skeet shooting, paintball, handgun shooting, hiking, that kind of stuff. But he wasn't asking me about anything like that. He was more interested. It's like, hey, I haven't seen you before. Are you new here? So I told him, hey, I've been here a few times. Just kind of checking it out, checking out different type of churches. Really cool guy. And if you can get picked out by a pastor, salutes to you. That was really impressive. I got a third contact from the gentleman who handed me the bulletin, and then even a fourth contact as soon as I stepped in, because it was Communion Sunday, and he was giving away different types of communion plastic cups. So overall, 4 contacts within a minute of me walking in the door. That's actually really impressive for any kind of church. I sat near the front to listen to the worship music. This RiverValley is very interesting from what I've seen in the past, and I don't know the backstory, but it looks like a more older type of traditional church from an architecture standpoint. Maybe it was built maybe 50s, 60s is my guess, but it looks renovated. And by renovated, they're making it more modern because they are close to a local college. So the demographic inside is very, very diverse. You have kind of more your traditional baby boomer generation inside, but then you have a great mix of college kids as well. And then you litter that in with, families in their, with parents in their late 20s, early 30s, 40s, what have you. And so the diverse, and it looks like inside the entire worship style, it's been renovated to make it more traditional, more or not traditional, but contemporary. And that is especially evident with the song selection. So let's see, some of the songs that they played, one was called The Passion. I did a real quick research, that is from Hillsong. And Son of Suffering, that is from Bethel Church. So not a surprise. It seems like a lot of these type of non-denominational modern churches are going to be doing the Hillsong, the Bethel, the Elevation music. After that, there was Communion Sunday, and it's open communion, which I really enjoy. I just hate closed communion, and I think they did a really good job explaining where it's like, okay, if you believe in Christ, you're welcome to take the body and blood of Christ. If you're not a believer, we ask you not to. So they kind of drew a line so that you can make the decision based off your faith. One thing I don't like is, and I railed on this in the first 52 churches in 52 weeks, because the first time I saw this was at Lakewood Church in Houston with Joel Osteen, where it's these wholesale plastic cups where it's like juicy juice inside, and then there's like a little wafer and you have to peel it off. And like, I get why churches do that, and this is not, hitting RiverValley or anything like that. I really enjoyed RiverValley. To me, sometimes the traditional churches get communion a little bit better, just because you are able to sit at the table. You are able, it's almost like you go to a restaurant, and with traditional churches, like, you have a room at the table, and it takes a while, I get that. With the more type of modern churches that do these open communion, plastic cup, juicy juice wine kind of stuff, it's almost like fast food communion, if that makes sense. You get in your seat, you open it up, you don't move anywhere, there's no action to it, other than a couple peels. When it comes to traditional churches, like, you have to think about it. You have to move, you have to get up, you have to walk up. There's action involved, and that resonates a little bit better. And I totally get it when it comes to these modern churches. Like, the RiverValley had 3 services today. I've seen modern churches try and do it where they bring people up front, and it just turns into a disaster. You have to have ushers that are well trained. So I get it. That's one thing I don't like about modern contemporary churches, but whatever. The sermon, and I've heard this pastor preach before. He's absolutely phenomenal. It's an expository. I can never say that. Expository type of sermon series on Philippians, and right now he's made it to Philippians 2:14 through 30, and he basically talks about how we are called to the light. And what happens, and kind of one of the universal problems that we see, is right now, like, we are putting men before God, and that's a form of idolatry. But we have all these fancy schmancy, big fangled words, all the psychology behind it now. So, when it comes to us placing men, women, humans in front of God, what we call it now is, we call it peer pressure. We call it people pleasing. We call it codependence. There's all these different types of words. And right now in the world, and he kind of talked a lot about Philippians 2:15, where, there's darkness. And with Christ, like, he is the only one that can shine through that darkness. And right now we live in this dark, twisted generation. And he talked a little bit about from the Bible passage where it's crooked and how we're bent morally. And he got into some topics that are difficult nowadays to really talk about without getting shellacked when it comes to social media, especially when it comes to abortion. And he kind of mentioned, hey, it's twisted. Some would say it's like population control. That's the word choice nowadays. He also talked about preferred pronouns and, the he, she, they, them, ze, he, me. I don't understand it myself because I just never have dealt with that before in my own personal life. It's not that I'm rude about it. I just don't know it. I've never experienced someone that prefers a different type of term than they were born with. And I think, and I touched base a little bit with LGBT in my first book, because I was so, from a traditional standpoint, I was so like, this is wrong. This is wrong. I'm going to fight against this. And I did not take the right approach. And when it comes to the changes that we've seen in the last several years, I have to remember myself where, and he mentioned this too, where it's like we need to be able to shine our light humbly. And we need to be able to speak with grace, not, lay down the hammer, because that's not humans' job. So, but yeah, when it comes to light in the darkness, like Jesus is the one that can rescue us out of the dark. And kind of what I said in my first video, I have this own type of storm that's happened in my life, kind of out at sea, recalibrating, trying to figure out where I'm going in my own life right now. I thought I had everything planned and it just didn't work out. The great thing though is you can't necessarily look in the past. Like you need to be able to change your perspective. And I think one of the great things that I've taken away is like I've never felt more on fire. Like there's only a certain times in your life where you feel like you really hit rock bottom. And I've hit rock bottom much worse than I'm in right now. But when you hit rock bottom, all you have, like, you call out to God, like you need Christ in your life. And I think, and that's why the Psalms are so powerful. And that's why I always kind of go back to the Psalms, because David and everyone that writes in there, it's like they're going through their own type of spiritual torment and they're trying to get out of that. And the Psalms just talk with raw intensity, just emotions where you can be mad at God, you can praise God, you can just, however that you need to be able to communicate it. And I think right now, as I go through my own storm, and it's been raining all day. This has been April the entire time. Just rain, rain, rain. And now it's starting to bloom. So it's like with grass, with flowers, with roses, they don't grow without rain. They don't grow without a storm in there. And the great thing is, if you get in your boat, if you get in your ark, if you don't let the things outside get inside of you, because you have Christ inside your own boat within your ship, you can look at that and just say, peace, be still. And what's going to happen is any kind of tears, like that acts as your rain. That's going to be able to bloom. That's going to be able to grow you. And as the waters kind of try and, hit your boat, try and sink you, it's actually rising you. The tide is rising. And you're not going to go underwater. You're going to rise from it. You're going to become better. And when it comes to this new 52 churches in 52 weeks, and I'm going to try and do as much as I can. There may be things that come up. The last time I did this, it worked out really, really well. But who knows? Like, something may happen. I'm going to try and stick with the 52 churches in 52 weeks because, 7 churches in 15 weeks, that just doesn't ring, that just doesn't sound as good. One last thing I'll mention real quick is for any of these churches, I'm going to be trying to put an email address just to see how the church responds, just because the follow-up is so important. So went up to the information desk and they gave me a little bag that looks like this. I took a real quick peek at it. So I got a little 2 pages with some writing on it. A little pamphlet that is easy to read, a pen, and you'll like this, popcorn, which I will eat. So not a whole lot to it, but I think when it comes to a first-time visitor, you don't want to be, and to use another rain analogy, you don't want to be flooding a newcomer when it comes to all kinds of new stuff. So that was week 1, and we'll see what happens for week 2. If you'd like to continue, check out my next video for week 2. That should be posted sometime next week. Hit like and subscribe if you like to if you like to stay up to date with this. And if you like to read about the first 52 churches in 52 weeks, you can buy that on Amazon. It's in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited, if you have a Kindle Unlimited type of subscription. So that's my plug. So anyway, thanks for watching, and hope you have a good one.